And now, the LSU Football Fix with Preston Guy, presented by TigerBait, starts now.
And welcome to your LSU Football Fix, presented by Celebrity Theaters. Join me with me as always each and every Monday night at 8 p.m. on the TigerBait YouTube and Facebook page is Zack, Nagy, publisher at Sports Illustrated's LSU Country. Zack, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Trying to get back into the swing of things after an open date. Much needed, I think, from a media perspective and obviously an LSU perspective. So just getting back in a groove, getting ready for this week, obviously. South Carolina on deck. A lot for us to talk about today, especially after Brian Kelly's press conference.
For sure. We're going to talk a heavy dose of LSU South Carolina today. This is effectively a must-win game, really, for both teams. But LSU in the sense that you're not going to win out with this schedule. I don't see it happening. It's a tough schedule, and you're looking up, and you're 9.5 or 10.5 point favorites over South Carolina. You're at home. Guy, if you drop a game at home, I mean, you're going to have to win some gnarly games on the road. You have to go at Alabama. You have to go. Texas A&M's also coming to home, and they're really good this year. So I think if LSU loses this game, effectively their playoff hopes are slim to none because it's just such a brutal schedule. It'd be insane for any team to go through unscathed with what LSU's got coming down the pike.
Well, so I agree. First of all, when you look at the schedule as a whole, you got to go to Oklahoma too, with Mateer going to be back in the mix. That schedule, Brian Kelly today, he talked about it being a gauntlet. He's right on the money. So no doubt, this is a must win for this program. Like you said, you have A&M coming to town on the road to Bama, on the road to Oklahoma, etc. So it's a challenging slate. This one's about as important as they come, especially when you're trying to get this offense in full swing. I think a lot of LSU fans would expect this offense to hit its stride fresh off of a bye week.
Last week you heard our rant. We're going to be a little more calm and maybe a little more focused in today. And we're going to talk about if this could be a good bounce back game for LSU. A lot of people think right after a loss, that's the perfect time for a bye. There's a lot of people that subscribe to that train of thought. So that is exactly what we're going to hope for. We're hoping to get to a comment-heavy show this week. So, guys, don't forget to hit like if you're enjoying the show. But also, if you really want to get your comment up there, hit me up with a super chat, and we'll make sure to get you in. But hopefully this can be a comment-heavy show. We're going to talk about the line and LSU series against South Carolina. I got a couple keys to this victory. I believe LSU's path to victory is a relatively simple one. And we'll break that down more. We've got some Nagy notes coming today. We're going to go through the injury report. We're going to talk a little bit about the quarterback situation. Is Garrett Nussmeier healthy? Was he ever hurt to begin with? What was his status at practice last week? That kind of stuff. Is Michael Van Buren an option to turn to? And LSU gets their 11 a.m. kickoff at Nashville next week, which a lot of fans, probably to the chagrin of most fans, but I think there's reasons to enjoy an 11 a.m. road kickoff. That being said, before we dive into the comments, I do want to dive into the people who made this possible for us. Guys, that's Celebrity Theaters. They're Louisiana's only locally owned and operated theater with locations in Baton Rouge and Ruston. Because they're locally owned and operated, you're guaranteed to see a clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, state-of-the-art technology. The Baton Rouge location features the largest arcade in town with over 50 games. It's the largest, they have a full bar featuring wine, beer, frozen drinks, oversized leather reclining seats, and of course the Dolby Atmos 3D sound system. Guys, they have weekly savings going on to help you save every day. Senior Savings Day on Monday, Bargain Tuesday. They've got half-priced arcades and college night on Wednesday, and Thursday is Thirsty Thursday, where you can save at the bar. Guys, they host private events, so whatever you're looking for, whether it's a corporate party, classroom, kids' birthday party, arcade party, guys, they've got the facility to fit your needs with either 8 or 10 auditoriums at their locations. They're proud to offer birthday packages for children of all ages. Visit celebritytheaters.com/events or send them an email, events@celebritytheaters.com. to get started. Let's dive into some comments. Of course, our show wouldn't be our show without the fire 3449 saying, hit the like button, guys.
Can't call him a bot anymore, remember?
Yeah. Nope. Well, look, Sora 2 is out. It's getting a little too real at this point. Calling people a bot might be a slur in the next 10 years. You got to be careful.
He's such a loyal listener, man. Got to give him credit.
You got to love it, man. James Moore, Sloan needs to open up this offense and stretch the defense. The offense has no consistency. Call Ensminger and call Brady. I think the last part of that's easy to address. Ensminger is retired, unless you're talking about his son, Steve Ensminger Jr. He's available coaching high school football somewhere. But Joe Brady, I don't think there's any amount of money that could bring him to LSU unless you were putting head ball coach next to his title. Although he'd be great, right?
Right.
But in terms of stretching the defense, I think they've tried a little bit. They need to do it instead of trying and failing. I think part of that is your quarterback hasn't been able to complete the ball 15 yards. And y'all probably watched Mike and Buddy's rant or whatever you want to call it last week, where they called out Nussmeier's work ethic and blamed a variety of things outside of him being hurt. And all that may be true. There's one thing I learned doing sports long enough. Two things can be true at once, right? I'm not going to discredit anything Mike's saying, but I am going to say Nussmeier don't look healthy. If he's not injured, he's hurting. I mean, what's your thought on the whole Nussmeier hurt, not hurt debate situation?
Man, I think if either one of us had $1 for every time we were asked about that, we would probably be millionaires at this point, man. I think that's like the magic question, the $1 million one, right? I think obviously Garrett Nussmeier's not 100%. I don't think it's rocket science. I think everybody knows that this is somebody who's dealing with an injury. I know it looks like he's regressed to a certain degree and whatnot, but that abdominal injury is definitely holding him back. I'm not going to sit back and question his work ethic or any of these things and stuff, but especially for Garrett, I just think that there's still so many levels of improvement for the offense as a whole that are holding him back too. I think when the offense is so predictable because your run game is abysmal, I think it puts you at a disadvantage. I think when you're dealing with an injury, you're at a disadvantage. When there are some play calling questions, you're at a disadvantage. So you can point the finger in a bunch of different directions, but I certainly do think that A, he's dealing with an injury, and B, there is a level of regression here that we've seen. I think when you look at what maybe Mike and Buddy said, that there's definitely some factual evidence to that too, in the sense of this is a guy who is still making bonehead decisions. I think you can talk about him not being able to throw the ball 15 yards, but at the same time, this is a guy who is still throwing into double, triple coverage and making those bonehead mistakes like he did at Ole Miss. So there's definitely layers to it that I definitely kind of sit back and think about. But Preston, this is a saga at this point. I mean, the mismanagement of it, in my opinion, has been certainly unique. But nonetheless, here we are, week 7, South Carolina week. He's coming off that open date. It's now or never for Nussmeier, and I'm excited to see him try to bounce back because he's certainly one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC when healthy and clicking on all cylinders. Excited to see how he puts it together this week, really in Tiger Stadium in front of a sold-out crowd.
Last year, he was a 4,000-yard passer, threw for, I think it was 29 touchdowns, right? Of course, he had 12 interceptions last year. This year, he has 1,159 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and we're almost halfway through the season. He's effectively on pace to throw for about 2,800 yards and about 18, 19 touchdowns, something like that, right? With, half a dozen interceptions or more. He has basically gone from among the nation's elite quarterbacks to an afterthought, a middle of the road at best guy. I mean, these are numbers effectively, what you would get with some of LSU's bad quarterbacks throughout the years. Like, this is more in line with like Jarrett Lee stats, more in line with like what Jordan Jefferson gave you as a sophomore. I mean, these are just very mundane numbers that he's putting up. So yeah, I agree with you that the decision-making has been bad, but I thought the decision-making was bad last year. I think that's just an area he's not improving on. Where I think he's regressed is his ability to actually launch that sucker. It's a gunslinger without a gun is what I'm seeing out there. Let's get some more comments. Do we see Kern at left guard or right guard this game? Of course, Mabenga is the one guy that the Brian Kelly announced as questionable for this game, and he mentioned
this was kind of my Nagy's note, so maybe I'll throw this one really quick.
No. Let's just talk about this and go straight into Nagy notes then. He mentioned Chester or Cohen and Coles. My mind went straight to Carius Kern because, frankly, I don't know if Carius Kern's future is at tackle. He looks like a guard to me. Expand upon that.
100% agree with that. Like, I loved what Brian Kelly said today, and I think when we're at a time where Brian Kelly's saying things that a lot of people are not agreeing with and a lot of people are not liking, just the lack of transparency. I think that there are some people in the fan base that aren't necessarily agreeing with that. And so today when he made that comment about Carius Kern, I think that was one where a lot of LSU fans were like, thank God, we've been wanting this. I've talked to Buddy, I've talked to you, I've talked to Mike, a ton of people about Carius Kern, and I think where he's going to make that NFL money and kind of have that bread and butter is going to be at the guard position, whether it's left or right guard. I think in the interior offensive line is where he's really going to succeed. So kind of expanding on what Brian Kelly said today, where he was saying maybe the right tackle position isn't necessarily up for grabs right now. It's a spot where he could definitely fill in if Weston Davis needs a breather. To me, still a little bit of a questionable thing. I liked what Carius Kern provided over Weston Davis. I think if you need him at right tackle, you should put him in there, me personally, but I don't get paid the big bucks like Brad Davis and them to make those decisions. But nonetheless, I liked what Brian Kelly said about utilizing Carius Kern's versatility. This is a 5-star guy, a really dynamic weapon inside. He's nimble on his feet for his size. He's taken off a ton of that body fat, has helped to transform his body. This is a guy that I think is the future of your offensive line, the future of the trenches for this program. It's important to give him some run, whether it's inside or out. He needs more reps. I loved his start that he had at Ole Miss. Certainly, you could look at the PFF grades and stuff, and of course, they might not be the sexiest numbers in the world, but him in pass pro was definitely of the kind of uptrend for him as a whole. So, love what Carius Kern can provide, man. I love that question just because I think a lot of us have been wanting to see some change, potentially at right tackle, left guard, etc. So now I think is that time where Carius Kern can really step in the mix and prove himself once again after really making a solid debut in SEC play 2 weeks ago against Ole Miss.
Right there with you, buddy. Fire 3449. Scarborough feels LSU should only recruit dual threat quarterbacks from now on. If this trend is adopted by most of CFB, do you think we'll see drop back passers turn to baseball? Zach, let me ask you a question. Who is the best quarterback in the NFL that is not a threat to run the ball at all? I'm not talking about a true dual threat dynamic runner. Who is the quarterback who you don't have to respect running the ball at all? The best one in the NFL.
I mean, man, when I sit back and think about kind of the cream of the crop in the NFL, the one that came to mind was Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert can move.
Can run.
He can move. Mahomes obviously can move. Lamar can move. If you're going to look at somebody who is the best quarterback that can't necessarily run, it's going to be Joe Burrow, but he can still escape the pocket and make plays on the run and turn
Joe
upfield
Burrow's
when
a threat
need
to
be.
run.
So
He's a threat to run.
There's a threat in that aspect. So none. In my opinion, there aren't very many elite
I will throw –
well,
hey, look. I was going to say Daniel Jones, but even Daniel Jones.
He can, yeah.
He can scoot. He's had some big runs in his career. Maybe there's a guy like Jared Goff can move around. I'm just going to rip off I'll tell you who the best quarterback is. It's Sam Darnold, who's not a running threat at all. Sam Darnold. Then you have to go down to Matt Stafford, okay? But, I mean, look at your best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, right? Even throw in some guys like Jalen Hurts in there, who I'm not super high on, but I'm checking. He's one of the better quarterbacks who's won a ton of football games. Justin Herbert. I mean, all these guys can scoot around, man.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Trevor
we're not
Lawrence.
sitting here saying we're not saying that they have to be dual threat guys. It's just a matter of being a threat to run. And all those guys, like you said, all of them might not be dual threat guys, but at least they can still be a threat. Extend
Jaden
plays,
Daniels.
Get upfield. I mean, they're still a threat in that aspect.
Right. Look at the rookie. Look at Jackson Dart. He can certainly move. My point is that I believe football has officially made the shift from big, tall, statue-esque quarterbacks. Think Tom Brady. Think Peyton Manning. Think Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, might
Breeze,
be your
man.
best quarterback who's not a threat to run. Drew Brees. That generation of quarterbacks has come and gone. And I think we've moved into a new era of football of guys who can keep you honest with their legs. I think that's just where we're at with football. So, yeah.
Like basketball, Preston. It's like basketball. If you can't shoot a mid-range jump shot to a 3,
you
don't have these back-to-the-basket bigs very often anymore. It's about having a dynamic play style. The same thing goes for football at the quarterback position. So, yeah, I just echo that same sentiment. I completely agree.
Fire 3449. We need to run from the pistol or I formation to make play action effective. Look, we discussed that last week, and I was very upset about LSU's lack of using a big man with the hand in the dirt. You're averaging 51 yards per run right now with a fullback. You've used it once. Okay. And here's my thing. Call it an outlier, call it a small sample size, call it whatever you will. But I'll say you do have a large sample size of not using the fullback, not using any power running game aspects, and it's not going very well. I think you're averaging 2.2 yards per carry. I mean, you have to do something to spice that up. I mean, to suck at something this much and just continue doing the same thing and expecting new results is sheer insanity. So, yeah, I hope they do incorporate a power running game element. I genuinely hope that this coaching staff takes 2 weeks and they use it to, number one, get QB1 rested up and healthy up. Don't stress him out there. I think there's clearly something off and awry, and question his work ethic, question his decisions all you want. Dude can't sling it. He can't throw it right now very well.
Let's stay on that real quick. I want to get your perspective on that way that it's been handled. You have Brian Kelly coming out and saying he's healthy. You have Brian Kelly saying, that he's good to go. He's good to roll. And I know earlier we talked where it's like, well, if your quarterback's good to go, why limit him to where he's only kind of using the towel in his motions? What's kind of your perspective on that?
What is the purpose of limiting a quarterback at practice that's 100% healthy? That's your answer right there, guys. It makes no sense. Oh, no, he's cooking. He's doing fine. We just decided to give him the week off in the middle of football season and not throw so he could get rusty. Guys, come on. There's something up that's affecting him. Look at the tape. Look at the way he's throwing. Slow it down. Look at that front foot. He's hurting. If he's not injured, he's hurting. There's something up there. So hopefully he gets healthy and that, drastically changes your offense. But, I mean, you still have other problems. Just if Nussmeier goes back to 2024 Nussmeier, that doesn't mean your offense is fixed. It just means you got a dude who can sling it around. Your offensive line still is atrocious. Your running game is anemic, if not non-existent. Your coaching staff has not made enough adjustments. But so in addition to getting QB1 healthy, I'd like to see QB2 get prepared because Michael Van Buren getting all those QB1 reps. Ideally, Brian Kelly said he's starting to look like QB1 a little. But I think we can both tell that there's a long leash for Nussmeier. He's not getting yoinked anytime soon.
No, he's not. I mean, for him to not go in during that Ole Miss game spoke volumes. I think for you, for me, for anybody, just when you're seeing so many kind of issues, we'll say, in that game, to not throw Michael Van Buren in the fire there is interesting. I love what Brian Kelly did say today about Van Buren and how he's starting to kind of carry himself like a guy who could be a starter, not necessarily now, but in the future. There are still hurdles to be jumped here, but to carry yourself in that way, handle the kind of the role during practice last week with Nussmeier utilizing this towel, the towel, man.
The towel, that's a weird.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean,
I don't know what that means.
That keeps you loose. I don't know how loose that'll keep you, but I'm not a coach. I do not know. I'm not a trainer. I don't know, but nonetheless, I like the way that he was talking about Michael Van Buren. Obviously, this is a guy who's dynamic. We saw in the past, Jaden Daniels had the ability to kind of mask those issues with the offensive line. Right now, you don't have the ability to mask those issues. I'm not sitting here saying that Nussmeier needs to be benched by any means necessary. I do think that potentially in that game against Ole Miss, if Nussmeier was hurting to the degree that it looked, where he couldn't make those throws over 15 yards, maybe you should have given Michael Van Buren a shot. Obviously, Brian Kelly and the coaching staff did not think that was going to necessarily help them, so they didn't make that decision. So I agree with what you're saying about Nussmeier's leash is long, and we'll see if there ever is a change. I don't think there would be. I think the trust in Nussmeier is too strong, and they think that he's rounding the corner on this injury, and I sure hope so because I believe in Nussmeier as well.
If we lose to Carolina, time to change QB. John Smith, thank you for the comment. I mean, it just depends on how you lose. It really does. Number one, if you lose, you got to win out to do anything with this season. And I think there's a lot of pressure on everybody this season. I mean, Brian Kelly, if he doesn't make the playoffs, he will not be fired from his job, but he may very well be fired in the eye of the public. Like, public faith might seal their decision on him. And of course, public faith in 2025, 2026 means NIL money. That's just the way it works. So I think it is a lot of pressure. And if your quarterback continues to look the way he has and you lose to South Carolina, I would have to be in favor of, yes, you got to do something. You got to shake up somehow, some way. You know what I mean? Let's get to a quick ad break. We'll be right back. We're getting some really good comments tonight. We're going to continue going down them. Maybe I don't even need to get into my show prep. Y'all just hit it all for me because y'all been hitting on a lot of what I had prepared for me today. So with that being said, let's talk about the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. That's Dykes Electrical. Whether you need lights on Tiger Stadium or just a humble TigerBait studio, Dykes is wired for success. Need a brand new 10-story office building? They can wire that. 200 square foot warehouse you need built? They can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building? They can wire that. Changing out a breaker, whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office? They can definitely wire that. Upgrading the old lighting in your home or office? Guess what, guys? They can wire that. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate on your project. Make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. And guys, if you're not sure if you need anything electrical done in your house, just ask your wife. That is one sales slogan, I promise you right there. You'll find out there's a lot electrical needed in your house with one call to the wife. Guys, I also got to thank our friends, Struby's downtown, located at 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. Struby's prides itself on providing a 5-star dining experience for a reasonable price. Struby's is locally owned with ownership in the building daily, taking a level of pride in the food and service you just don't see from any old corporate establishment. Struby's features a full menu of specialty meats, including USDA prime black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And for those of you looking for something outside of red meat, they offer items such as the dry-aged pork chop, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, and plenty more. Book your reservation online at strubys.com. Make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. And guys, LSU returns to Tiger Stadium this week. If you're looking to get geared up for it, I got just the place for you. It's the best place for all your officially licensed LSU gear. Alumni Hall, they're your ultimate shopping destination for an LSU fan. They've got it all. Nike, Champion, Johnny O, Honorable Reserve, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, plenty more. They've got the nice polos you're looking for, hats, Yetis, and just really, guys, LSU gear coming in every day. Shop at their store in Perkins Row or shop online anytime at alumnihall.com. Don't forget to use this discount code, TigerBait, all one word, TigerBait, and you're going to get 10% off your purchase online or in store. You can use it on items like LSU licensed jersey. They got the Jaden Daniels jerseys in there. They got the Bayou Bandits shirts in stock. Free shipping on orders, $99 or above, and the best part about it is they ship locally. So if you're looking for something that's going to get there kind of quickly, they got you squared away, guys. Let's see if we got any good comments in here. Let's see here. BK used to pull quarterbacks too quickly, and now he doesn't pull them at all. I'm trying to think. At LSU, he's only had 2 quarterbacks.
Correct.
Jaden Daniels, they rotated them out in the bowl game, in a meaningless bowl game against a corpse Purdue team. Did he win it? He must be talking about at Notre Dame, right?
I would say he's referencing Notre Dame as well.
where they did do a lot of quarterback shuffling there. And I do seem to remember that, but I couldn't, off the top of my head, name names. Kenny Thompson watching on Facebook. That's okay. I hope this will be the coach's last year at Baton Rouge. We need an offensive line also. Kenny, I don't think you're alone.
One question that I always get asked, Preston, is do you think it's a developmental issue or do you think it's a skill issue when it comes to the offensive line? Because I think everybody, when they ask me about that, it's Brad Davis recruits at an elite level. The program obviously sells itself to a degree, but Brad Davis puts the finishing touches on it to get these 5 stars, these 4 stars, flip these players from X program to make it here. And over the last, let's say, 3 years, we've certainly seen kind of regression in the run game. Do you think it's a developmental issue, a personnel issue? I know you went out and you got Josh Thompson, you went and got Braylon Moore, and Braylon Moore's arguably your best offensive lineman. So do you think it's a developmental issue here, or
it's not a recruiting issue? I mean, they're getting 5-star guys consistently. I mean, they've got, Solomon Thomas, Carius Kern, Weston Davis, Will Campbell, Emory Jones. I mean, should I keep on naming very highly touted players that they have brought in? I mean, the recruiting's fine. By the way, Brad Davis has had 8 offensive linemen drafted at LSU, 8 in 5 years. So there's quality players. The question is, why is it with these quality players, with multiple head coaches, with albeit one was a garbage year of Ed Ogeron, but still multiple. I mean, we're talking about 3 offensive coordinators. He's had Mike Denbrock, he's had Joe Sloan, and he even had a year of Jake Peets. And not one of those teams consistently ran the ball. 2021, they had some games like Tyrion Davis-Price broke the rushing record against Florida in a weird game. That being said, they didn't consistently run the ball very well that year. There were some atrocious points of that year. So they haven't consistently ran the ball with the running back. What's the common denominator in all this, Zach?
Weak run blocking. But obviously, but would lead you in that direction.
So the personnel has changed. The coordinator has changed. The head coach has changed. What hasn't changed in these 5 years is the offensive line coach. So I would have to suggest it may be a development issue. I'm not like critiquing Brad Davis and his daily, regimen with offensive linemen and what techniques he's teaching guys. But the results suggest there's a serious development issue. We're in year 5, the Brad Davis tenure. Think about how you had 4 NFL linemen who, by the way, are cooking in the NFL right now. Will Campbell is having an outstanding season for the Patriots, and he looked mediocre for LSU last year. So that to me suggests that there might be some development issues. Is that a safe answer, or did I go off the deep end?
I think it's fair. I think it's a question that a lot of us have been getting recently when it comes to your struggles inside. I mean, obviously, you have Caden Durham, who's a top 10 running back in the country. Carlin Berry, a number 1 running back in the country. Granted, he's a true freshman, so you're going to continue to ease him into the mix and whatnot. But nonetheless, it's hard to want to trust this run game when there's a lack of push in the trenches. So for me, when I constantly get asked that question, it kind of comes back to, I think there's definitely been some developmental issues in the trenches right there. You're recruiting at an elite level. Brad Davis is one of the best in the business in that regard. But certainly over the last 3-4 years plus, however deep you want to go, there's been some issues in the run game. And certainly, like you said, there's a common denominator that comes in there.
Christian says, if you come out flat and go 3 and out, put MVB in. First off, are we talking about what I would do or what will be done? Because what will be done is that will not be happening, I assure you. Well, if you go 3 and out, what I would do, again, it depends on how you go 3 and out. If your receiver drops a wide open ball, which by the way has been happening in some of these 3 and outs that you've seen, you can't really pin that on the quarterback. But if Nussmeier just comes out looking flat, making dumb reads, but more importantly, if that ball looks like a duck getting shot out of the air. You know what I mean? And it looks like he's not going to be able to stretch the field, which, by the way, when Nussmeier stretches the field, that keeps the defense honest. That is one very effective way to open up a running game. And you best believe that's been part of the problem with the running game. In fact, that's why everybody talks about improving the running game and what they can do. My suggestions haven't had anything to do with the running game. Why is that? Because an effective mid to deep passing game can open that up for you. It can open that up. Now, I have suggested doing some power running elements, but ultimately I think that you're not going to be good enough running the ball no matter what, because his offensive line is not very good until you get those linebackers taking that step backward. That I'm a little afraid of what Aaron Anderson's going to do with that head fake in the inside. Get that deep threat established. See how those cornerbacks start. Yeah, you're supposed to be, in zone coverage, you're supposed to be 7 yards back. See if he creeps to 7.5 and 8. See if that first step goes straight back a little bit.
And when you look at how you want to incorporate that, we kind of went over your kind of keys to victory per se. When you look at changes that you want to see made offensively, there's no need to even sit back and harp on the defense. I mean, we know what we're going to get. That unit's elite. And I'm not even throwing that word out there anymore, just a sunshine pump. I mean, they're elite, flat out. When you look, Preston, at the changes, you're going to have 2 weeks off until you take the field again in Tiger Stadium. When you look at, let's say, 3 to 4 changes within this offense, what are 3-4 things that you personally are looking for just to kind of get over the hump and see if you can kind of get in a groove here?
Getting us back on the track for this show here. Yeah, I wrote down 3 keys to winning this football game. I'll start with the one that's going to be the most daunting task, and it's going to be, and I'm going to phrase this very carefully, adjust your pass protection for Dylan Stewart. Dylan Stewart is a stud, guys.
He's a monster, man.
Notice I didn't say contain Dylan Stewart, limit him. I said adjust for a Dylan Stewart. I haven't seen one player on this offensive line that gives me a high level of confidence that you're going to win one-on-one with Dylan Stewart.
So how do you adjust?
Well, get your running back in protection, slide him over there, double team.
So who do you think's your best pass pro running back on this team? I mean, for me, just kind of pulling something out of my keep it PG behind, for me, it would be just Juwan Johnson, just in the sense of this is a guy who played quarterback, and it's a weak approach with this answer. By the way, so I take your, if you want to go with Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson, completely here for that. But for me, I just work with Juwan Johnson in the sense of he can read the defenses better just because he's played quarterback. But best pass pro, you probably have to go with your strongest back.
Jack Pyburn.
Oh, my God, dude. We want that more than anything. Look.
No, not more than anything, but I do want it. I want your downfield passing game to open up. I want Nussmeier to be able to hit a 15-yard post. I want that to open up. First off, your passing game, I believe you have the pieces in place to have a successful passing game. I don't know if you got the dudes to truly open up a running game. I just love Jack Pyburn, man. He's just one of those dudes.
I mean, you're 1 for 1. You're batting 1,000.
He's one of those dudes. If that guy pulls up in a tux taking your daughter to prom, you're pissed off and worried, and frankly, you're loading the shotgun. That's a bad dude, okay?
He is, and I love him and Bauer Sharp, the way that they click. I think we were talking to Bauer, and he was saying that him and Jack both have screws loose. Like they just love to play ball, and that's it. I think that's the best way to describe those two guys.
Screws loose. The 2 places you don't want to see him. Awesome. In front of the running back you're trying to tackle and taking your daughter to prom. That's the 2 places you don't want to see a dude like Jack Pyburn. That's exactly what I want to see if I'm running. I want to see a crazy white dude like Jack Pyburn leading the way, man. A little off in the head, Anyways, I just love that. I love that element in football. But that being said, what I really want is a passing game that can open up the running game. Okay. And you can't do that if Nussmeier's throwing inaccurate ducks all day long, if everything's hitting the feet. Okay. And frankly, if you go 3 plays, let's put it like this. If Nussmeier hits receivers' feet 3 straight times on that opening drive, Tugga, he's not good to go. He's not. I don't want to, again, I'm steering away from the word injury. He's hurting to the point where he's hurting your offense, and you need to get someone else. All right, number 2 key, contain Lenore Sellers. Do you know what South Carolina's average yards per carry is this season?
What do we got?
2.9. 2.9, and that's including Lenore Sellers, who, by the way, has been fighting off some injuries, just to be fair to him. That blowout to Vanderbilt was because he got taken out in like the first quarter. But even Lenore Sellers only has 98 yards on the season. So if you can contain him, you should. South Carolina should run for diddly squat. Also, if this defense has an Achilles heel, I don't think it has much of one, but it does appear to be containing the quarterback. Does appear to be the Achilles heel of this defense. I think it has a lot to do with the blitz scheme that they like to run. They like to run an aggressive blitz scheme, and the quarterback just reads those blitzes and can find a lane in between it. That's just it. But that being said, contain Lenore Sellers, and I have no doubt in my mind you will limit this offense because they rank in the bottom 50 in the country in darn near every metric. The only metric they really rank highly in is interceptions thrown. Okay. So we're not doing super great in terms of South Carolina offense. So if you can just contain that, you'll be good. And of course,
when you talk about containing Lenore Sellers, to me, my mind points to, okay, you have to have a spy. You have to have somebody on the second level really holding things down here. Do you utilize Harold Perkins in that aspect to spy on Lenore Sellers, even though it's kind of a mixed bag because, you have people that want him to get in the backfield and wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And utilize him in coverage and utilize him as a spy. It kind of crushes what he's the best at. So it's twofold. Like on one side, you're going to have a fan base that's happy because you contain Lenore Sellers, you win the game. But on the other side, you're going to have people saying, well, you're mismanaging Harold Perkins again, blah, blah, blah. So what do you do when it comes to kind of like managing Lenore Sellers, but also trying to get the most out of a guy like Harold Perkins at the second level of defense?
Yeah, I don't know that I love Harold Perkins in a QB contain role in his star position just because it tends to be on the edge, right? Tends to be on the outside. And typically a QB contain kind of forces you to the middle. I don't know that you also need to commit your highest speed box player in Harold Perkins. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think there's a number of dudes capable of QB spying Lenore Sellers if they just play sound fundamental QB spy, right? So yeah, I think there's an element of that they do need to put in place. They also could just limit the blitzing a little bit and just kind of have a zone.
Blake Baker hates to hear you say that, man. He's a bad son of a gun when it comes to blitz, man. He loves it. He loves it. I know.
Just a little bit, though. Just a little bit, But hey, maybe better tip is just Blake Baker should take his $2 million and not listen to me because he's really good at coaching football. That's just my one thing. If you can contain Lenore Sellers, I actually have no doubt that this offense is going to be limited. I mean, you got a guy like Nichols Harbor out there who he's had like 11 catches this year, and he's a freak of nature athletically.
NCAA cheat code. Yeah. He is unbelievable. That dude is a true speedster. I would love to see him get unlocked. Not this week, obviously, in the future, but I want to see that guy get unlocked because he's an absolute menace, man. Like track star.
Yeah. All that. But you best believe South Carolina is coming out for blood. My third key is you might have guessed from all the things I've been wishing for this offense. Get QB1 cooking, okay? Get him passing the ball downfield. Get him some time passing. It goes hand in hand with my other key of adjust for Dylan Stewart. But if your quarterback can stretch the field, I really do think a lot of things are going to open up. I genuinely believe that. I remember 2013, that team, they were really bad at running the ball early on, particularly when Jeremy Hill was suspended. And you just noticed in these games against TCU, man, they're throwing the ball downfield and it's opening up running lanes. They weren't very good at it. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to see is more running lanes opened. But of course, this offensive line's been so putrid that who knows, maybe it doesn't matter. Let's get to some comments. I'm gonna get to my last ad break, and then we're gonna go comment heavy through the end of the show. I do want to talk about that Vanderbilt kickoff real briefly. I have some interesting notes on that. So we'll be right back with more comments and talking about that Vanderbilt kickoff. But first, guys, we got to talk about our friends Capital City Grill. Oh, let me take that comment down, Let me just put one up and put it down. I can't find the comment. All right, guys, let's talk about our friends Capital City Grill. Guys, one thing we try to do with all of our TigerBait sponsors. We try to partner with locally owned businesses we've experienced firsthand, and we know we can trust and endorse to provide an outstanding experience for our listeners. Capital City Grills fits perfectly in that, guys. They're located on 100 Lafayette Street in downtown Baton Rouge. Capital City Grill is your ideal lunch and dinner stop for a casual dining experience. They feature a variety of sandwiches, burgers, seafood, pasta, steaks, and more, with most everything priced at $30 or below. Make sure to go check them out, guys, and make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. Let's see here. Alrighty. I'm actually going to dive back into some comments. We'll finish up ads in a second. I'm kind of having an issue with my graphic here for the next spot. All right, let's see here. Guys, he's in year 4, and it's just an average team, no playoff. It's all coaches. So look, there's no excuses for coaches at this point. That was kind of my rant a week ago, was my point with that. We got some Jack Pyburn comments. He's the dude who headbutts the windows in the movie The Program. Have you seen The Program?
I have.
Oh, really? Okay, so you've seen something I haven't.
Yeah. Well, I like this one too. Look, I would say so. He's just a bad son of a gun, man.
He's got awesome. Bad intentions, man. I know. No, I don't want to see him. I wouldn't want to see my daughter dating with Weeks even. But, I mean, Jack Pyburn, my God. How can Nuss go from Heisman stud to Heisman dud? I think Heisman dud is lofty praise at this point. I mean, injury and lack of development is the answer there. I appreciate your comment there, Leon. All right, we got Cole Adams. Nuss feet on his first throw will tell you if he's well. Against Ole Miss, he didn't throw off his left leg. And if you're pointing to your front foot, if you're pointing your front foot to the receiver and not getting accuracy nor velocity.
It's like Cole, your video, Preston. It's like what you posted last week. I mean,
it's exactly.
That comment spot on. That's a good comment, Cole. But Preston, go look at his Twitter feed. He put out a comparison from last year, 2024 at this time, to right now, 2025. And you can clearly see that there's some kind of tweaks in his mechanics here. And if that's him maybe favoring that abdominal injury, sure. But that comment's spot on. I mean, you'll see on that first throw attempt whether Nussmeier is ready to rock. And I'm hoping he is. Again, reiterate, I think Nussmeier is an elite quarterback when clicking on all cylinders. It's just a matter of getting over this hump, both mental and physical hurdles in order to get there.
So when Sloan submits his game plan, how much does BK water it down? Well, the answer to that is we don't actually know. I mean, you can speculate all you want, but my understanding is the head coach is going to have a heavy hand in what's going on. But ultimately, when people ask me this, and thank you for the comment, Who Dat Tigers, here's my broader take on it. If your head football coach, who is getting paid $10 million a year to coach your football team, if him getting involved in play calling makes your team worse, that's a bigger problem, right? Like that's like my hot take. I know most people are going to disagree with me because every fan base.
Am I wrong?
Every fan base complains about the head coach getting involved.
Preston,
right?
Was there not a time like last year where there were some play calling miscues and Brian Kelly said he's going to take a more hands-on approach with the play calling? Am I making that up in my head? Because I'm pretty sure that was a thing last year where Brian Kelly took a more hands-on approach when it came to the play calling aspect of things. So why wouldn't he try to do a little bit more of that right now when there's maybe 1, 2, 3, 20 questionable play calls that are made per game?
Yeah. No, right. Exactly. And I suspect that, yes, he should get involved is my thought here, because your offense has been anemic. You're ranking 44th in passing offense. You're ranking 121st in running offense. You're ranking 80th in total offense. And that's with a bunch of cupcakes fluffing those numbers up. So, I think he should get involved. I at this point, I think Brian Kelly is a capable coach and a good and capable play caller. Yeah, that's a good point. Now they lost that game. So maybe that's why we don't say that. But Big Stack also said it sounds like a Les Miles thing. Here's the thing about Les Miles. Les Miles, I know for a fact, would have his offensive coordinator submit his plays to him the day before, and he would approve which plays they were allowed to call and which they weren't. And he was definitely hands-on the offense and definitely tinkering a little too much. Les Miles just had this addiction to getting a physical style of offense, but he refused to adapt when it's freezing cold in Arkansas and you put up 0 points because you're trying to just instill this physical style of play. Sometimes you're getting out physical. Sometimes you're getting beat and you need to do something different. And that was Les Miles' problem. But of course, the tinkering with the offense was what ultimately cost Les Miles his job. I mean, that's not a good thing when you're worried about your head coach tinkering. And if you're worried about BK tinkering with this offense and it getting worse,
you're in a bad spot if that's the case.
It's indicative of a bigger problem. It's indicative of something bigger. So that's where I'm at. He also had this awesome comment. He'll protect her from everybody else but Jack Pyburn. All right. Ain't no one else but Jack Pyburn messing with. Dude, I hope Jack Pyburn or his family is listening to this show and taking what I'm saying maliciously or thinking it's I think it's an insult of somehow, because I promise you it's not an insult. It's a huge compliment. Guys, let me thank my friends at Genesis of Lafayette. Guys, they're your premier luxury dealership offering the finest cars and SUVs in the region, coupled with the best service anywhere. Genesis of Lafayette has a huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles. Truly a first-class automotive experience. It's Genesis of Lafayette, 6600 Johnston Street. Here to exceed your expectations, Genesis of Lafayette. Shop online at genesisoflafayette.com or call them 877-856-2961. Let them know that TigerBait sent you in. Guys, level up your performance with peptide therapy from Rejuvenate Medical. Boost, recovery, energy, lean, muscle. Guys, it's all the smart way at Rejuvenate. Feel the difference today at rejuvenatemedical.com.
I'm Dustin Gotro. I received testosterone replacement therapy from Rejuvenate. My very first shot, the next morning I woke up, looked in the mirror, I could feel the difference in my body. Go for a consult. You may not know how bad you feel until you start feeling good.
All right, Tiger fans, get ready. Bay's Oyster Bar is now open at 315 North Boulevard in downtown Baton Rouge. They're serving up the freshest farm-raised oysters from Grand Isle. No mud, no grit, just clean, delicious flavor. Not in the oysters, guys? Swap in boiled shrimp or try their turkey brie and bacon sandwich or even a classic roast beef po' boy. They've got a full menu featuring a bar fully stocked with top-notch bourbon, whiskey, and craft beer. Don't miss out on Baton Rouge's newest oyster spot. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in, of course. LSU announced a kickoff at Vanderbilt at 11 a.m. Okay. And this is a game. It's, again, a game that's very winnable for LSU. Vanderbilt is a very capable team of beating you. It's going to be difficult. But ultimately, if you want to do anything of significance this season, you can't lose to Vanderbilt. That's the rule. You can't lose to Vanderbilt because there's going to be a lot of tougher teams on your schedule. There just is. Most LSU fans are probably really pissed off on an 11 a.m. kickoff. Zack, I want to hear your thoughts here. I might have a cold take here.
I thought at the beginning of the year when they announced the schedule, it was always that like flex game or something. Like I thought that it was already understood that it was going to be an 11 a.m. kickoff. But nonetheless, whether it was announced then, today, tomorrow, whenever, Brian Kelly is relatively successful during these day games so far that we've had. Obviously, I use that.
All right. Hold up.
That's an outlier. Well, you got the facts. Pull up the facts.
I do have the facts, but we're going to see if you're a ball knower, Zack Nagy. What would you say Brian Kelly's record in 11 a.m. road kickoffs is since he came to LSU?
I mean, he hasn't lost one yet. So 4-0, 3-0?
6-0, baby.
They played 6-11. They've had 6 11 a.m. kickoffs under Brian Kelly.
That's correct. I mean, this is his 4th season. I mean, so you got to figure, about 1.5 per year. Pierce, show us the Carfax. Pierce, I would if the internet wouldn't roast me for my serial killer handwriting. When I am handwriting,
bad.
It is just for me to read and nobody else. So
him and I both. It's bad. I can attest to his from fall camp and spring camp. I can attest to that. We both are bad when it comes to handwriting.
There's nothing you could do to get me to show my handwriting because I will be roasted till the end of the eternity. I know this place. I know the internet. You people are savages. I have too many enemies on Twitter to be showing my handwriting. LSU has won 8 straight 11 a.m. road kickoffs. I'd say that's a pretty darn impressive streak. And there's actually a little bit of logic behind it to back up why that's advantageous for for an 11 a.m. kickoff. It's because LSU, all these SEC road environments are pretty tough places to play. Hey, look, get those fans waking up early. Get the bourbon out of their system. Let's swap out the bourbon and do some coffee. You might sneak in one shot. Regardless, that environment ain't going to be as tough to play. Zach, can you name the last 11 a.m. kickoff LSU lost on the road? The last one they lost, I believe, was Tennessee 2022, but that was at home. But on the road,
correct.
And boy, did they lose it. Boy,
that was it. That was my first kind of butt kicking like watching that happen. Like I was like, oh yeah, damn. But no, I mean, I can't think of the 11 a.m. game. What year was it and who was it to?
2020 to the Missouri Tigers. The Miles Brennan throws for, I think it was like 373 he threw for. But look at Pierce. Look at Pierce with the Carfax. Dude, you show me the Carfax, Pierce. No, it's pretty good. Miles Brennan tore his something, or maybe he got his flip-flop caught in a pier. I can't remember. There's too many injuries for Miles Brennan to remember. But yeah, no. So I am perfectly fine with an 11 a.m. kickoff at Vanderbilt. Not that Vanderbilt is an environment that you need to get past Fist. In fact, you might be better off with a night kickoff because half the fans are your fans at Vanderbilt. But I'll take it. And, there's also the fact that I am done with my work at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whatever it is.
Selfishly. I'm so glad you said that. Good. Selfishly, it gives us the chance to watch ball for the rest of the day, too, and not be out of a stadium at midnight, 1 a.m. So, or Preston and Mike doing their live shows until 1:30 in the morning. So, yeah, no, we like these.
Pierce Lee says he's cursed with knowledge. Me too, brother. And I learned from an early age that I am just going to obsess over LSU football. I might as well find a way to make a little bit of money with it. But I could name you just some Mike Scarborough gets mad at me when I start naming obscure facts from like before I was born. I mean, I could basically go back 100 years and tell you every head coach for LSU. It's he gets mad because I'll name like McClendon stories. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. My grandpa told them to me and I remember them. Like, yeah, it would piss me off if your coach was punting on 3rd down, which is something McClendon did. Anyways, Brad David. I still wonder how Miles would have done at LSU if he had stayed healthy. He had talent. Yes, he did have talent. He could sling it around. I think he would have been a pretty good quarterback, but mind you, he had some struggles on 3rd down. Also, mind you, those games he played on, he threw for 1,100 yards in 3 games. That, mind you, he was playing from behind the whole game against that Bo Pelini defense. So, yeah, a lot of those numbers were kind of inflated. I think he would have been a pretty serviceable solid quarterback. I think his numbers were higher than what he was in terms of being a good quality player. Beamer Ball, he'll be there on Saturday. You'll be in Death Valley. Question, Beamer Ball will be there on Saturday, or you physically, the user named Beamer Ball, will be there?
Hopefully he's in there, man. I hope South Carolina travels well. It's going to be a fun game.
Why does BK not want to use the second quarterback? Which is, obviously we've talked ad nauseum about the quarterback shuffle, rotation, all that jazz. But I don't think anybody's asked why he doesn't want to turn to MVP yet. At least slightly different angles, so where it's not at least sickening for me to talk about at this point. Let's put it like that. There's a lot of theories behind it. Number one, you always want to be cautious when benching a veteran quarterback in college. I mean, it's just a guy who's been proven, who can trust for reps. There's also the fact that MVB has not looked good in practice. And Zach, you can attest to that. I mean, did you see anything in a Michael Van Buren in fall camp that impressed you?
There was one day that he had, and it was when Garrett Nussmeier was limited because he was kind of working from that knee tendonitis thing that they were talking about and stuff. Yeah. So they let him rest, and Michael Van Buren took most of the reps with the ones. It was towards the back end of camp, and that was his best day of camp. When you give him a little bit more volume, he certainly looked the part. But I wouldn't go as far to say he could lead LSU to the promised land. I think he's a serviceable quarterback who certainly adds different elements to this offense, but he's still a work in progress. I know he's got some reps under his belt at Mississippi State and whatnot, but for me, I think there's still a ways to go in order to reach that kind of next
You don't
level.
think he could reach the promised land, but I'm going to tell you this. Don't you think the promised land is a little more attainable with this defense than you're thinking?
It's fair. It's fair. But do you think Michael Van Buren could lead this team to the college football playoff right now?
Maybe. Not practice Michael Van Buren. But if dude's a baller, in the game. I mean,
I'm saying based off what we saw in fall camp, do you think Michael Van Buren? That's
not
my
practice
thing. Like,
Van Buren. No.
I know that I'm not sitting here saying he's bad. I think Michael Van Buren can play ball. He's a gamer. But I still think that he's still young in his kind of growth as a player. Yeah. Next year, we'll be talking. We'll
Can I
be
throw
excited.
a third caveat into this discussion that might be a little upsetting to hear about, but a very real factor might be the same reason why you don't, bench your high dollar quarterback for the backup in the NFL. Could be NIL money playing a factor.
It's a new age, man. Like, that's a great perspective.
That want to see ROI in their investment and the amount of money they've tied into Nussmeier probably want to get some return on that because no refunds. It just is what it is. So there's a few factors there, but ultimately my opinion is if Nussmeier continues to show what he's been able to show you 15 yards or more down the field, that you have to turn to somebody else or else you're going to flush down what is absolutely a playoff caliber defense.
Correct.
I got two comments here. Are you 100% sold on LSU stopping a running quarterback? And do you think you will shut down Sellers running? It's a great question. I suspect that South Carolina is not going to be able to run the ball very well outside of Sellers, right? So they're probably going to turn to Sellers to run the ball quite a bit. Stop is a strong word. And we are talking about a guy who's after sacks, of course, averaging about 20, 25 yards per game, something like that. I mean, he's not super prolific running the ball this year, but we know the athletic ability. I suspect he will eclipse that 25-yard mark even after sacks because they're going to be trying to push it so much. They know it's a weakness. But whether or not they completely stop him running the ball or they stop him enough to win this game, I think LSU's defense has the upper hand. By the way, prediction for this week, I think LSU wins, and I think Vegas hit the nail on the head with the spread. I think we're going to see something along the lines of 27-17. LSU
I'm with
wins.
you on
I
that.
think that 10-point spread's spot on.
I love that. And the Sellers question, I think Big Stack with another good comment here is I don't think you can shut him down completely. I think it's just about containing him. So for me, you just got to contain him. I don't think – look, he's a physical specimen. This is a guy who's going to get his, whether it's early, late, after contact, before contact. He's going to get his. But Preston's also right on the money where he hasn't necessarily been this prolific quarterback this year rushing the ball. So he's not as big of a threat per se going into this game as maybe last year and whatnot. So I'm right there with you, by the way. I'll give my prediction as well. I was saying hovering around that 27-20, 27-14-ish type of line for me. Obviously, down the line, down this week, I'll give a complete prediction, but I'm right there with you, Preston. I agree.
With this kind of defense, I think we could run the table in the playoffs with the caliber of Zach Mettenberger, Danny Etling, and, Pierce, effectively, that's kind of what you did with Matt Flynn in 2007. Matt Flynn wasn't the best quarterback in the world, but he was effective and made plays when you need him. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't need Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels to win it all this year. You just need a guy who can go in there and keep the defense honest, a guy who can make the throws when you need to, convert on third down, open up the running game with the ability to stretch the field. There's probably quite a few quarterbacks that would be good enough. However, this offensive line is a problem. The receivers have been dropping the ball too much. And, frankly, there hasn't been running lanes. So you need to also address those other issues. You can't just plug in Mettenberger, especially Mettenberger with his statuesque problems, and just win a national championship. Mettenberger with this offensive line would be an unmitigated disaster. I mean, that would be brutal. So the thing is getting that quality of play and just plugging in that quality player, it's different. Different getting the results versus the input, if that makes sense to you. So yes, I don't think you need a world beater. You just need a game manager. And for God's sake, you need a little bit of time to pass the ball and a little bit of room to run the ball. Offensive line, got to get it rocking and rolling. Zach, we're going to wrap up tonight. Why don't you tell people where we can keep up with all your work?
Yeah, man. For me, I'm always on X at ZNagy20 is the personal page. It's right there on the screen. Catch out the work on LSU Tigers SI. That's the handle on Twitter. If you don't use socials, I know not a lot of people do nowadays. My parents don't. If you're a little bit older, then of course just go to your search engine and punch in LSU SI or LSU Tigers SI. You'll find anything you need purple and gold related, man. Football, baseball, basketball, recruiting. It's all on the site, so make sure to check that out.
Zach, how old were you in the fall of 1994?
Yeah. 94.
Not born. A twinkle in the eye. That's how old he
Yep.
was. That is the last time LSU lost to South Carolina in a game where, what's his name? Jamie Howard had 53 yards passing. It was coming on the heels of a 6 interception game at Auburn,
Jesus.
which was an absolute nightmare. And somehow in 16 passes, he still threw for 2 interceptions against South Carolina Gamecocks. LSU's won every game since then. Here's to keeping that streak alive versus the Gamecocks. We'll see y'all next week, guys, Monday at 8 p.m. Y'all make sure to subscribe to the channel. Mike and Buddy will be here Wednesday night at their usual time, 6 p.m. And of course, Mike and I will be doing the post-game show. We'll be coming from Tiger Stadium, so it should be probably about an hour after the game ends. We'll be here. So y'all make sure to subscribe to lock in. We'll see y'all next week.